The promise had been made under a violet sky, where two moons hovered like watchful eyes over the frontier world of Latharis 9. Elias Rowe remembered that moment more clearly than any battle, any scar, any medal he had earned since. "I'll marry you someday," she had said, her voice trembling with both fear and determination. She had been small then, barely grown by her people's standards, her pale blue skin marked with faint bioluminescent lines that pulsed softly when she was emotional. Her name was Silari, an alien refugee girl from a species the wider galaxy barely understood and rarely cared about. Elias had laughed awkwardly at the time, rubbing the back of his neck. He was a human soldier stationed on a forgotten outpost, older than her by nearly a decade, broken already by a war that never truly ended. "Someday is a long time," he'd replied gently. "You should make promises to someone your own kind." But Silari had shaken her head fiercely, her silver eyes locking onto his. "Humans keep promises. You saved me. That means something. 6 years ago the galaxy was different. So were they. Beginning, a promise born of ash. Latharis 9 had been a humanitarian disaster masquerading as a mining colony. Corporate wars had burned it hollow, leaving alien civilians trapped between mercenary contracts and orbital bombardments. Elias had been part of a small human peacekeeping detachment, undermanned, undersupplied, and ordered to hold the line anyway. That was where he found Silari. She'd been hiding in the ruins of a medical dome, clutching a cracked data slate and shaking from radiation sickness. Her people, the Kyrene, were non-hostile, semi-telepathic, and considered strategically irrelevant. No one had come for them. No one except a tired human who refused to step over a dying child. Elias had broken protocol that day, carried her through fire and falling steel, traded his own rations for alien nutrient gel, and lied on official reports so she wouldn't be relocated to a research facility. 4 months after, she followed him everywhere on the base. She learned human words quickly, laughed at his bad jokes, and listened silently when he woke screaming from nightmares. In return, she told him stories of Kyrene's star lore, of bonds that lasted lifetimes, of promises that shaped destinies. When evacuation finally came, it wasn't meant for her. Kyrene High Command arrived instead. Sleek ships, masked envoys, and a quiet authority that brooked no argument. Silari was of a rare genetic lineage, they said. She had to return home. The galaxy was changing and her people needed her. She clung to Elias as they pulled her away. "I'll marry you someday," she said, voice breaking. "When I'm strong enough. When I can stand beside you." Elias watched the ship vanish into the stars, certain he would never see her again. 6 years of silence. War consumed the next 6 years of Elias's life. He fought on dead worlds and living ones, against machines that screamed and enemies that begged. Humanity earned its reputation during those years, not through cruelty but endurance. When others broke treaties, humans held the line. When allies fell, humans stayed. But the cost was high. By the time Elias left the service, his hands shook too much for combat, and his eyes carried a weight that no amount of rest could erase. He took a job as a dock supervisor on Port Helios, a massive multi-species trade station on the edge of civilized space. Quiet work, honest work. He stopped thinking about promises made under alien moons. Or at least he tried to. Then, one ordinary cycle, the station's arrival alarm sounded. Deep, resonant tones reserved for sovereign fleets. Dockmaster announcements rippled through the port. Unidentified Kyrene royal vessel requesting immediate diplomatic clearance. Elias froze. The name struck something deep in his chest, a memory he thought long buried. The ship that arrived was nothing like the refugee transports he remembered. It was elegant, alive with flowing light, its hull etched with symbols that shifted as if breathing. And when the boarding ramp lowered, the being who stepped out was not the frightened girl he remembered. She was tall now, taller than him, with crystalline armor grown seamlessly into her form. The bioluminescent lines along her skin burned bright and steady, patterns of authority and power. Her silver eyes scanned the dock, sharp and unafraid. The port fell silent. She walked straight toward Elias. "I found you," she said, her voice calm, resonant, carrying a faint harmonic that silenced every nearby translator. Elias swallowed hard. "Silari." A small smile touched her lips. "That is still my name. But I am also Silari Vathel, voice of the Kyrene conclave. Someone powerful, someone dangerous, someone completely changed. Middle what she became." They met privately in a diplomatic chamber overlooking the stars. Elias felt painfully small sitting across from her, in his worn station uniform, hands scarred and rough. "You shouldn't be here," he said finally. "The galaxy isn't kind to leaders." Silari tilted her head. "Nor was it kind to children left to die. Yet you were there." She told him everything. After returning home, she had undergone genetic awakening, an ancient Kyrene process that unlocked latent abilities. She became a conduit for her people's collective will, a living bridge between minds. While humanity fought wars of survival, the Kyrene prepared for something worse. An extragalactic threat was coming, one that erased civilizations without negotiation. "We needed allies who do not abandon their own," she said softly. "We watched humanity." Elias laughed bitterly. "You watched us tear ourselves apart." "Yes," she replied. "And still stand back up." Her gaze softened. "I never forgot my promise. But I knew I could not return as I was. Not as a burden. Not as someone you would have to protect." "You were never a burden," Elias said quietly. Silari reached across the table, her fingers warm, steady. "I came back changed because I had to be. Because standing beside a human means carrying weight." For the first time in years, Elias felt something loosen in his chest. Ending. A promise fulfilled. The weeks that followed reshaped galactic history. Through Silari, the Kyrene allied openly with humanity. Ancient technologies were shared. Defensive networks activated. For the first time, species that had dismissed humans as reckless primates began to listen. And Elias, he was offered titles, positions, honorary ranks. He refused them all. Instead, he walked beside Silari as an advisor, not because of politics, but because he understood what it meant to be afraid and move forward anyway. On the 6th anniversary of her departure, Silari took him back to Latharis 9. The ruins had been cleared. Grass grew where fire once reigned. Under the same violet sky, beneath the same twin moons, she stood before him. "I said I would marry you someday," she said. "I am strong now. I have faced the galaxy. And I choose you, not because you saved me, but because you never stopped being who you are." Elias's voice trembled. "I'm not the man you met anymore." She smiled gently. "Neither am I." He took her hand. That was enough. As the moons rose, human and alien stood together, not as legend or myth, but as proof of what humanity did best. They endured. They protected. And when the galaxy needed hope, they kept their promises.